Okay, it's not really modified. But yeah, kind of a gearhead, modify your modified video. This is a fuel pump. This little red car over here, 76 MG midget, but they're all the same, doesn't matter. Mechanical fuel pumps. I was down at Vic's today and he had, God, what was it, 64 Cadillac Ghostbusters car, but a guy wants him to fix it up. It's a pretty nice car. I thought it was a complete piece of shit. And then we popped the hood and, looking things over it, and it just needs some wiring, and the interior's not bad, but oh, it's a yacht. It's an absolute yacht. But it's a Cadillac engine, and the Cadillac engines have the fuel pump actually, like if this was the intake right here, and this was the front of the engine, the fuel pump sits in here in the intake. And I don't know where that turns off of, because it's got a timing gear in it, so it's probably got a push rod that comes up from the camshaft and pushes this up and down. But again, and there's Dad's Studebaker pickups right here, and it's got the same thing. Cadillac all pretty much had the same setup back in the day, I suppose, when it came to engine design. The fuel pumps were up on the intake manifold, up on top of the motor, which, some people kind of wonder about that, but that's the way it is. But fuel pumps are pretty much all the same. The mechanical ones, they've all got a diaphragm, and they've all got like a push rod and a spring. Then they've got an inlet and an output. And that's about it. I should be able to push on this. Oh my God. Okay. Well, we found our problem. It is stuck bigger than shit. I may have to go out of frame to get some chemicals, because I've got a little bit of WD-40 something or other here, but I will tell you, I don't like using WD-40. It's water displacement, so it's great if you get moisture in your distributor, or in any way you want to get rid of moisture. That's a good way to do it. Spray WD-40 on it, and it'll dry things up that are water saturated very quick. It is very effective at doing that. As a lubricant, you spray it on there, and within a day it's dry, and that's about the end of it. So yeah, it'll stop your squeaks momentarily. If you want something good, you'll use a penetrating oil or a silicone based product, like a silicone lubricant. Anyway, we're not going to be dealing with any of this old fuel line. It's complete trash. So let's get it off of there. We're going to have to take this thing apart and figure out why the push rod is froze up in it. There's also a spring in here. The spring should be pushing everything back. But if there's rust or, I don't know, gum, melted, what do they call that? When the gasoline gets dried up, it varnishes. And it could be full of varnish, which I know the varnish is a product that people use on tables and furniture. But I don't know. I haven't done the research and looked at the Webster dictionary to find out what the difference is between gasoline varnish and woodworker's varnish. I'm going to straighten that out. If you don't have these straight, they will cut into your hose, and you'll end up with a hose like this. Of course, it's rotted out anyway. It's complete trash. Going in the dumpster. Okay, so, yeah, there's your lever. Then the push rod is down inside of there. And see, that's as far as I can move it. It should be coming out a little further and in. And you'll hear it whistle, like in here and out over here, or vice versa. Maybe when we get this thing fixed, if we get it fixed, I'll be able to kind of demonstrate. But you see this right here on the top, all these screws here, there's a diaphragm in here. Most all of them are rubber. You'd have to ask Dad or some old fart. Find out if the old ones were leather. But I know some of the old carburetors, same concept in the accelerator pump. When you push on the throttle, you get the little squirts inside the carburetor. That's from an accelerator pump, and some of the old ones were leather. It was a leather diaphragm. Now, if you're dealing with a Stromberg carburetor or an old Carter, I think all of those had a brass piston. And when you pressed on the foot feet, oh yeah, you see my shop supervisor over here in the background? Oh, there she goes. She's going off screen. She's checking out the work in that MG. Hang on. You got to see this shit. What are you doing over there, Izzy Biz? Well, get up in there and make sure I did it all right. Okay, we'll get back into it here. Anyway, the Carter carburetors and the Strombergs had a brass piston that would push down, and that would push the gasoline down and through a hole and up and out the squirters in the carburetor. But let's get this thing apart if we can. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to take this completely apart just in a matter of minutes. And the racing carburetor or racing fuel pumps, mechanical fuel pumps, they'll have the same thing. And you see how this is situated. The larger, which I'm not going to say it's a larger. The N, it's got arrows on the bottom of it. You see the arrows? So the in is here and the out is here. So the in is 12 o'clock. If you're sitting at the engine, the in is at 12 o'clock and the out is at about 5 o'clock. So you want to make sure that you remember the way this is situated, but it doesn't really matter when you go back together, as long as it works on your automobile. Like the racing fuel pumps, sometimes you have to take the bottom loose out of it and rotate the valves to point it in the right direction. And like the older GM, well, the sedans, I guess you would say, or touring cars, some of them had a vacuum pump on them. They didn't run off a main vacuum because the windshield wipers would like rob everything if you had the wipers on. So the top half of this would have this big diaphragm on it up here, and that would be a vacuum pump. So this would not only, it had like a double piston on it, would not only operate the fuel pump, but on the backstroke would push the vacuum pump up. So the vacuum pump would be operating along with the fuel pump. But that was, like I said, when they had like the vacuum operated windshield wipers. And you can't, I mean, if you use the vacuum off the engine, like the coupe or something would probably have it running off of the engine. And when you accelerated, the windshield wipers would slow way down. When you let off the gas, you'd have full vacuum. When you let off the gas, you shut that butterfly, you got full vacuum on the engine, then your windshield wipers speed up. So when you get to the top of the hill and then you let off the gas and you idle down the hill, the windshield wipers speed up. And then you open and throttle all the way up to climb the next hill, then they'd slow down. Anyway, it is what it is. This still got some gasoline in it. This is that nasty black reddish crap gas that I pulled out of this thing. But I did dump some down into it, so it might be just that. But it's got a little yellow tint to it, but not much. Okay, so here's the innie and outie. Hang on a second, I'm going to blow through it and see if I got any. Make sure it's clear, because that's important. It almost looks like it's got a screen on it or something. Oh, plugged up like you would never believe. Let's try this. Oh my God. Okay. Oh. God, that's rancid. Holy shit. Hey. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go, I suppose, off screen to get this. I may have to rod it out. I may have what I need here nearby. But we'll put that on the back burner. So here is the diaphragm right here. And it appears to be still pliable, which is good. Let's see. Oh, I have to, this has got a nut on it. Do you see the nut? You got to take that nut off. Sometimes they'll have a little clip on there, just like a little keeper. Oh, Lord. Wow. Damn it. Five sixteenths, folks. 5/16. Shit. This is when it gets fun. You're like, God dang it, now I just got to buy another freaking... Oh my God. Wow, dude. You would think that that would just come right off. I don't know, man. Here it comes. Wow. Holy shit. Thank goodness this is not an original diaphragm, because it probably would have ripped by now. God. Give me a break here, dude. Just feels like it's spinning in there. Well, that's no good. This is a problem because there's really not much of a way to get around it. We've got the piston and the spring is in here. Okay, so we got that much. Okay. Well, maybe our day's not done, right? You see that? That's a good sign right there, isn't it? That's a real good sign. So we can line it up. Always make sure you line your lines up. Usually it doesn't matter. A lot of times these are kind of a universal fit. You say order the same diaphragm bullshit for multiple cars. If I had to put a new diaphragm on here, I'd hope I'd have an entire kit and not just a diaphragm, because that nut is not coming off. So there's that. That's fine. I'm not going crazy with that. This guy, this guy, shoot. Don't ask me where this came from. I do not care. Let's see what we got. I don't see anything nasty in there. We may need some chemicals though, like a carburetor cleaner stuff, sometimes necessary. Let me get the damn air gun out. I'll give it a little work. I just don't see any crud to speak of. Let's see what the air gun says. When in doubt, hammer it. Let's see. We want to go in and out. It's directional. Whoa! Okay. Something blew out of there. I'm guessing it was shit. Can you hear that? Bill. I don't know what that is, but it sounds promising. Sweet. All right. You don't want to blow backwards through these things because it's got like a little flapper in there, kind of a check valve. And if you blow out your check valve, you've just ruined your fuel pump, because you can't just go buy a replacement piece for this or those little pieces that go in there. You just got to buy another freaking pump. So let's not do that today, shall we? Okay, so noon and 5 o'clock. In at noon. That's beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now I got to get everything lined up here. The diaphragm's got to be lined up. And that's got to be lined up like that. Okay? And then you find your screws. Screws go in here. God. All right, so it's not so easy to line it up. This is not like those car shows where you go in there and you just say, "I've already got all this bullshit loose." And of course, I like that show. They had one on there called Car Fix. I don't remember the guy's name. The black guy with the old gray beard, and then the younger kid who's working with him was like the wiring guru. Those guys, I watched them take a North Star engine. They rebuilt a North Star engine. You have to be a damn good mechanic if you're going to get into a North Star setup, because there's a lot of bolts, like 1 million bolts. And it's aluminum. You have to disassemble it by hand. It's a whole deal. It's like I don't know, maybe tearing apart 2 Subaru engines that are somehow pieced together. It's a very big pain in the ass. But they've done some pretty wild shit on there. And I gotta say, I don't want to be the judgy judge, but I watched him on one show talk about how it was so important on a flathead engine, start in the middle and go to the outside. There's a certain torque and you got to do it this way. Well, you know what? That's on every fucking thing. Intake manifolds, you better start in the middle, work your way out. Exhaust manifolds, start in the middle and work your way out. And don't tighten them down the first go around, especially on exhaust. You'll learn real quick if you're doing exhaust that you'll get in on one of the bolts. Like most people start from the front and work their way to the back, and they'll tighten that front one down, and then they can't get the bolts on the back side in. And it's because they've got it in a bind, because the shoulders of the bolts fit so tight that it's just a very tight tolerance. It's cast iron, so it doesn't move at all. I mean, there's no forgiveness. Intake manifolds, especially like a race car, aluminum intakes, sometimes you have to drill the holes out. But you still want to start in the middle on everything and work your way to the outside. Always start in the middle. And that's what really blew my mind when I saw that episode. I was like, you start in the middle on everything. That's a given. That's a rule of thumb. So it's not just on a flathead head that you start in the middle. It's every damn thing. And do it in a sequence. Well, not really a sequence, but a series of torques. Torque the first setup 10 pounds, and then go back and torque it to 20 or 25, whatever you got. I don't use torque wrenches unless I'm doing head bolts. Just don't believe in it. It's, I guess when you've been doing it for so long, you just become accustomed. You know how tight it's going to get. Every bolt has a torque spec because of the size and the chase of the threads on the bolt. So a 5/16" bolt is going to have torque spec of 15 to 20 pounds. A 3/8 head bolt, I may be wrong, I have to go get one, but Chevrolet, I want to say uses 3/8, but they might be 7/16 or half inch. 65 foot-pounds. Do not torque them over 65 foot-pounds. You'll peel the threads right on out of them because of the size of the bolt. If you had Ford uses like a 9/16 bolt, or maybe bigger, maybe a 5/8. They're pretty good size. The torque specs on those are 100 foot-pounds, 90 to 105 or 90 to 110 foot-pounds. Some of your four-cylinders, they'll use the 5/8 inch or 11/16 maybe bolts. They're larger bolts, bigger around, and the torque spec is 90 pounds. But if you have a small bolt in diameter, then you can only torque it so far before you peel the threads out. But they don't want it so loose that it might, that it's not going to squish that intake or head gasket down. The Subarus and a lot of the others too, aluminum, they'll tell you to torque it so far and then back it off. And what that does is it allows you to smash that head gasket down because it's got copper rings and things on it. Then it'll smash that down. Then you back it off, loosen everything up, and then you start your torque sequence. But the first things first, smash the head gasket down, and then bring the pressure off of it and start over and torque it to spec at that point. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this is working. Damn it. What did we do? What did we do? So we're going to try again. We'll break it loose. And if you're sick of listening and sick of watching, I don't blame you. But it's got to be fixed. Oh, heard something let go. Do you hear that? So it sounds like it's got varnish in the piston, which is actually going to be down in here. And I'll lay this up sideways. Roll it around a little bit. Oh, that's even worse. I can still feel it in there. It's got some stuff in it. Just gunk. Gum Out is a very good product. I don't know if I got any over there or not. I'm not going to worry about it too awful much. But this is silicone. It's WD-40, but it's a silicone. I know it's not going to do real good on this rubber. If this is actually a rubber diaphragm, I won't like it. I didn't spray enough in there to really do a whole lot, I might spray a little Gum Out in there just to get it a little further along. It's moving. See? So instead of buying a new fuel pump, if you have an older style, an old school fuel pump, because you'll be getting on eBay and shopping for one, and $90 a pop or something. You can take these off and disassemble them. And like I said, this one didn't need any parts really. It just needed a little lubrication and blast the varnish out of the inlet and output. And now you can hear it. It's pushing and pulling. Hear that? Anyway, it's pulling a vacuum on this one and it's pushing on this one. And that's exactly one of what we wanted to do. In the whole disassembly and all that we did, we were able to inspect the diaphragm, take a look at the spring, make sure it was tight. Our piston's moving up and down. It's still got a little gum in there. but the more we work it, the better it's going to get. And this will actually, since I took the one off of my donor motor that's over in the corner and put it on this red MG, I'll just take this one and put it back on that donor motor in the corner. And if I ever sell the motor, I know that this works. So it didn't cost me a penny, just a little bit of time and maybe a little shot or two of lubricant and some air. So there you go. That's old school fuel pump repair. I hope you enjoy it. Ask any questions if you have any.